Welcome to the Shootin' podcast, the podcast that's harder than your competition cooker and your first wife. We'll be talking barbecue and more with one of the top pitmasters in the game. Get ready for juicy tips, saucy tricks, and sizzling stories that'll leave you hungry for more. Let's start shooting the Q. Here's your host, Heath Riles.
How's it going, everybody? Today, we're recapping Memphis in May with my lovely bride, Miss Candace. How are you today, honey?
I'm good. I'm still tired.
You still tired?
I felt like I was less tired on Sunday after the contest, and now Monday, Tuesday, I feel tired.
Well, I know how that is. Mine is kind of just getting back to normal. I went down there, or come up to the office on Sunday and worked a little while, then went yesterday and got trailers out and cookers anyway. My trailers are still there right now, believe it or not.
Our trailers.
Our trailers, that's right. Well, to start off about Memphis in May, we had a good time. We fell a little bit short. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. Just so everybody know, we placed 9th place in the rib category, but a perfect score is 1026. We had a 1025.77. And so only being that, not less than a quarter of a point away, I can honestly say that I felt like we kicked our coverage. We just landed just a little short being on the wrong table that day. The judges on another table were just a little bit more generous and beat us out. I can't complain. But what about our good friend John David and the Ribdiculous crew winning rib?
I feel like if anybody was going to do it besides us, it would be John David. I mean, John David's known for ribs and, barbecue in general, not just ribs, but he can cook a good rib.
I mean, I don't say this often, but going head-to-head with anybody, I would not mind it. But John David is the one person going against him in ribs, heads up at Memphis in May. I do feel like he would probably have the upper advantage just because he has that little more experience. And I'll be honest, I learned from him back in the day some of his presentation techniques and all that. And I don't know, just what can I say? He deserves it more than anybody, in my opinion. If you think about just the barbecue, the good part of barbecue karma he's brought to the table with him by doing his work with OBR, the countless fundraisers he's done throughout the county.
I'm sure it was memorable. He said that for the most part, his son, John Dalton, cooked the rib, which I'm sure he coached him for many years and taught him how to do that. But
well, with John Dalton being 21 years old, 21 years since the rib won it, 21 years since he's been cooking Memphis in May. The stars just kind of lined up for John David this year. Yeah, I get it. And, couldn't be more proud for him.
Yeah.
We come out with beef rib. We had a perfect score of 483, and we tied, and we were 6th place.
With a perfect
score. With a
score.
6-way tie with a perfect score. And Bob turned in ribs. And
you want to say Bob's name?
I'm not going to get twisted. You're going to get me twisted.
Bobby
T. And we also, Bob cooked wings, and we had a 482.97, which there was a 5-way tie for 2nd place.
So for beef, we cooked beef ribs, and then for wings, and they were both good. I tried both. They were both great.
Both 100% solid. We turned in sauces, and I didn't even write down when our sauces come in. I know that tomato sauce was like 80th in the pack. And I think we were
that
like,
happens there.
I don't know, 12th or 15th or something in mustard. And I can't remember what vinegar, maybe 20-something. Yeah, I don't really remember either. Those things, you know how it is. You can be first one year, and you can turn in 2 sauces, and one of them be first, one of them be dead last.
That's
you just
true.
don't never know what table you're going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had an incredible time in our booth. We met some incredible vendors that come by. We had a ton of fans stop by that wanted pictures and stuff. And besides a little bit of rain that we had one night when we were gone, other than that was kind of really the only little bit of, I would say, hiccup that we had.
We had a teammate end up in the emergency room, but I don't know.
Well, he had a little bit of
small hiccup.
He had a little bit of dehydration problem,
but he's
on Saturday.
Okay. So that's
it's all good now.
All that matters.
Some people, I would say they can't handle Memphis in May, but he paced himself. He just, got overheated a little bit. And we're talking about our good friend Mitchell Bedwell. Yeah. He got him some IV fluids, and he's back to normal now. I've been there before. With the Royal a couple of years ago, I had to get an IV on site.
Well, and he, in his defense, he was not even drinking that day when all that happened or anything. So
that's really surprising.
So
really
he said.
surprising.
That's what he told me. The nurse in me came out. Sorry.
So if you had to take away anything from Memphis in May this year, what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, we have some great friends, great people that come out to help us, and I'm just thankful to get to see all those people once a year. And I mean, not just our team, but I don't know. I guess I just look at it like a family outing that good people you only get to see once a year. I mean, yeah, you're there to win and cook barbecue, and like you said, I mean, even though we came in 9th place, we did good. I mean, we didn't do what we wanted to do, but we did good.
I mean, just like I said Saturday on the stage, anytime you can walk that stage down there and get a top 10 call, especially in the rib category, which is the hardest category to cook there, it has triple the amount of teams in it versus hog, and almost a shoulder, over double. And so when you get that, more tables, everything else, it's harder to win by it. So to even walk in the top 10 in rib, I considered a victory. Yeah, I wish we'd have got a medal trophy, but, another bowling trophy to the collection.
And we did, on Thursday we had the Yeti Bloody Mary bar. We raised money for Hogs for a Cause. That was the whole purpose of that. Yeti did that event in not just our booth, but some others, and with different charities along the way. So I thought that came off good, I feel like. I mean,
did you see the email?
I did.
Looks like we raised a little over $2,000
yes.
In a matter of about an hour for the charity, which was really, really good, I think, for some Bloody Marys. Glad we could help out, and maybe next year they can host another one, and we'll do it again.
And shout out to Jimmy Loves for sponsoring that event with his mix. I thought that was really.
Jimmy loves Bloody Mary mix.
We've drank that mix for years. I mean, it's one of our favorites.
Solid 100%.
Yep.
Just like some of our others, like you said. Other than that, I mean, Memphis in May was just, I don't know, we had great neighbors. We had, on one side of us, we had M&W Smokers. Yep. And we had my good friends, Tim and them, Slabs of Smoking. They finished 5th in ribs. They were on the other side of Brian and them, and we all duck hunt together and do stuff. And then on the other side of them, we had Jeff Jones with Wicker's Barbecue and Jonesy Q, and who's a great friend of ours. And they didn't make a top 10, but I'm going to tell you, Jeff and them go all out. He even wrapped his floor.
I know. And I was slacking. We forgot our placemats at home, so he was generous enough to let me borrow one for our on-site judging. Thanks for that.
I know. I cannot believe we left it at home, but I guess that's what we get, not being prepared. But overall, we had a great Memphis in May. We didn't get to see everybody we wanted to see because we were so busy down there, and at the times we were there and this and that. Hopefully next year we're going to be doing some different stuff on site there to get more of the public involved. We're working out some stuff now to be able to do that. And other than that, it was a great event. What did you think about it being back down on the river and the park?
I prefer it on the river. I mean, I'm not going to say as far as the logistics part of it, but just the atmosphere and feeling of that, being on the river, seeing the bridge. I just feel like it gives it a special feel that you don't get other places. I know that other places might be better logistically, or have been in the past, but I don't know. I just feel like downtown gives it a special feel that you don't get other places.
I agree with you. It is a different feel at Memphis in May versus everywhere else.
It's just a special feeling, and I feel like there's a lot of contests that you don't get that feeling at a lot of contests. A lot of it depends where you are. Like, I feel like one of the few other contests that I've ever got that feeling is the Jack, because you're just down in the holler. It's just like certain contests have that ambiance, or however you want to say it, just about where they are, that gives you that special feeling.
Well, that makes sense. It does.
And I want to, changing the subject a little bit, but proud of John David, John Dalton, but also very proud of Nick and very proud of Mo Cason, finaling for the very first time. I was so proud for him. He was so excited.
Yeah, you went down and kind of helped with some garnish, and we sent our garnish down to Mo, and that was his really first time. Mo's been cooking down there several years, and finally hit and got a shoulder call. And, yeah, bringing up the fact about Nick. Nick's one of our gold sponsor teams. He cooked under a different team at Memphis in May. He cooked with BBQ Republic. I know a lot of those guys. They needed a head cook. They were called kind of retired, but they still want to be there. And Nick and Cade and them went in there and to plow that hog in their second place and to be as good as it was. And, I mean, really proud of him. Nick's got a bright future in the Memphis-style contest if they stick with it.
Yeah, I agree. He's kind of grown up along the way, kind of been through the ropes with John David, you know. Now he's kind of doing his own thing, so doing really good.
Well, you know, talking about John David, we've mentioned his name a dozen times. I guess there's no other formal way. Let's go ahead and change some positions around here and introduce the man himself, John David Wheeler. How's it going, everybody? Today on Shootin' the Q, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Candace, and two of my good friends, John Wheeler and John Dalton Wheeler, who just pulled off the impossible of winning Memphis in May, the World Championship with a rib.
It was a good day. It was a good day.
It was a real good day. Well, for the people that don't know you, John, tell people who you are and what you do for a living and all that good stuff.
I'm John David Wheeler. Used to have a team called Natural Born Grillers, retired it last year, and joined a new team called Ribdiculous this year. I'm a home builder by trade and also own half of Memphis Barbecue with Melissa Cookston.
Well, I guess you do know a little bit about barbecue then, right?
A little bit.
A little bit. And who's this scrapping young man over here? Your son, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, you know you ain't got to call me Sir John Dalton.
Oh, I still do. He'll hit me.
He'll hit you. All right, I've known John David for a lot of years, and John David has been around barbecue and give back more to barbecue than most people's probably grilled in their backyard. So, John David, you also volunteer for OBR, Operation Barbecue Relief. You were one of the main front-running guys, in my opinion, that kind of helped get the organization off the ground, and you're kind of the big liaison, in my opinion, when the stuff really hits the fan. You get called in to kind of help get it orchestrated and get it organized.
Well, way back when we first started, and I got into it. Now we were all volunteers. Now you just couldn't keep doing that. The production was impossible to do, volunteering 40 hours a week, and I looked up and I realized there was about 6 people it took to do the job I was doing for free, and I was like, "What the heck?" But no, it's a great organization. They got it fine tuned. They're running like a sewing machine now, and it's incredible to see what they do for people.
Well, as it's a great organization, and when something happens, they jump right in there and they're right on it. And I just appreciate all your service work with all that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And so something else you're newly doing now, you're also a South Haven alderman, right?
I wasn't doing enough, so I said, somebody said, "Oh, it's only 2 days a month." I was like, "It's only two meetings a month. It's every day." Somebody calls you, need something, and nobody really calls you and tells you how good a job you're doing either.
Well, and you know what? I guess I didn't think of it like that. But another thing you've always done, you've always cooked and raised money for all the softball teams throughout DeSoto County and kind of helped with that. Both your daughters played softball, and John Dalton was in sports. You've always cooked hams and butts for the last 20 years that I know of. You've wore out a dozen Old Hickory cookers.
I've cooked a lot, yeah. Football, baseball, whoever I can help, I'd help out.
Well, I know that's true. You've loaned me a pit in a pinch more than a couple times. So, outside of barbecue, you said you were a home builder by trade. Are y'all still building homes today?
Still building houses. My wife and my business partner pretty much taking that over, and they're there for the day-to-day stuff. And if they run into a hitch they hadn't seen them before, they'll give me a call occasionally. But they're doing pretty good now. They don't have to call so often.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. So, how long have you been cooking barbecue, competition barbecue?
Started in Natural Born Griller. Started in 2000. And first contest was down in Tunica, Mississippi. My sister was part of the Chamber of Commerce down there, and went down to. She said, "Come cook it." And I borrowed a grill, which turned into be the big show. And we got to Tunica. We cooked the rib. We cooked the shoulder, and got our butts kicked. I mean, we got kicked hard, and it wasn't no internet. It wasn't any way to go figure it out except to go find people and follow people. And we vowed never to get kicked like that again.
Well, I know exactly how that is. How many contests have you cooked in?
A lot. Probably a couple hundred. Yeah, probably 300.
And out of those 300, how many grand championships have you won?
Probably less than you now that you told me already, but about 60, 65. And you said something about the first places. I have no idea.
You have no idea.
It's got to be in the hundreds.
I remember one time coming to your house when you still had that horse trailer cooker. John Dalton was probably riding around a Power Wheels toy. It was that long ago.
Yep.
And your whole third garage and into your main part of your garage, I don't even think your wife could park in it at the time, was full of trophies.
4-car garage, and you couldn't park nowhere.
All trophies.
Yep.
I remember that like it was yesterday when I come to your house in Bar-B-Krewe that time. And so out of all those contests you've ever cooked, what's one of the most memorable or fun contests to you that is not here anymore?
Tunica was my hometown, and it was. I don't know if you cooked Tunica very much. I don't think you did you?
Twice,
Maybe,
I think.
okay, so it was 30 teams. That's all they would take, and it was the tune-up for Memphis in May. It was the best of the best. It was the hardest contest to ever cook, but the competition was so good, and no team up until like the last year or so had ever won it twice.
Really?
Wow.
And you know who that team is?
You?
Yep. That was almost as big as this Memphis in May win for me. It was a huge accomplishment. Nobody had ever done it, and we swept it that day. And my good buddy Mark Lambert I got all the second places. We got all the first.
Wow.
2 Tunica boys. Well,
I did not.
From Tunica.
What year was that?
That had to be 9 or 10, something like that. Maybe something. I don't know. Could have been before that. Could have been 6 or 7. I don't have that good a memory. Ken Nottingham, my hog cook, knows all those stats. I should have brought him in with
numbers. Well, talking about you winning and all that, how many times have you actually won at Memphis in May?
We got this was our 4th first place out of 4 finals. He said something about how many seconds and thirds y'all have. We don't have any seconds and thirds. We try to take care of business when we get there, and then the 2 grands. So pretty good time down there.
And was the first grand in 2008? Is that right?
Sir.
Oh wait, with the hog.
And I remember it was with the hog because I will never forget this. I was standing at your gate. You probably don't remember that.
I remember seeing.
We were cooking.
Had an orange shirt on.
Had an orange shirt on. We were sponsored by Hooters then. We had just gotten started with Boar's Night Out. And I remember you telling that judge when they walked up there that y'all had fed that hog out the last 2 weeks, nothing but cracked corn and beer.
That's it.
I remember you telling that story.
Have you ever judged John David?
I don't think I ever have judged John David. You have, though, right?
I have.
Yeah,
once.
I remember
in
you did.
Missouri, I
Yep.
believe it was. On shoulder.
It was a shoulder.
On site.
But I think Pat Burke got you that day, didn't he?
Probably. If he was there, he probably got me.
I had Pat on site that
I
day.
did too. I had Pat and John David, and I don't honestly remember the other.
I had John David and Rib that day.
You sure did.
I had you and Rib that day.
That's why you started cooking ribs. That's why your presentation sounds so good.
That must be it. You know what? That brings me to another question. You said you were natural born grillers before. You had that team. How many teams have spun off of natural born grillers?
A lot.
Yeah.
Too many to count.
Been a lot that's spun off, and then I've also, which I love doing, is gone Boar's Night Out. Went to them to Tennessee, to Nashville.
You did.
And,
when I left the team,
yeah, right after
you kind of come right in.
I agreed to come in when you were still there, by the way, and came in, and then we won that contest. And those guys, I still, to this day, that was a special one too, just to do it with those guys. So
It was cool. I think you helped them win their first 2 to 3 contests.
maybe, yeah, we won the Tunica thing too, didn't we?
Yes.
Harris.
Nashville and Tunica. Yep.
Mm-hmm. What did y'all win that with? Was it a shoulder or a rib?
I think it was a shoulder. Pretty sure the Nashville was a shoulder, and the Tunica was a rib.
It was at one point around that 2008, 2009 mark, or no, 2010, 2011 mark, where a shoulder couldn't be beat really on the circuit.
Oh man, it was killing it.
It was not a rib or a hog. It seemed like a shoulder all year long. It was just shoulder.
Remember that.
Wow. So out of all of those teams, I know you probably didn't hit on a lot of names, but I know Red Hot Smokers come off of you.
Red Hot. They were around before. Then when we cooked for a year together, and they come out and won the world championship, and Tin Bones, who they got a few trophies down there, and BBQ.
I didn't think about Coal Burner.
Coal Burner,
I didn't know that
he was my
one.
first hog cook. I'll think of some more as we talk.
Well, you and Berm cooked together, and I know Berm's
right on
been
cue.
under.
Right on cue, yep. Birmingham.
Well, do we count Nick in that?
Nick.
'Cause
We
now
gotta
Nick's
count
got
Nick.
his own
Great
team.
pig in the sky,
Yeah.
and I cook with those guys some.
Yeah.
Great pig in the sky, and they've done great. They one of the only couple teams out of Mississippi ever won the pig jig.
That's right.
I know the other one.
Yeah, you sure do. You know the other one. You know, and talking about that, I'm gonna go into this question. It had to be an incredible feeling knowing that you done finaled in rib, and then hog finals come out,
It was,
and see Nick in finals with you.
yeah. Both my sons had a good day. They had a good day. I'll be honest with you right now. In front of him, I thought Nick may have been the one to cook that rib that did it, but he didn't. He came close. He cooked some great ribs, but I tell you, I went and tasted this hog. I was worried. I was real worried.
The hog was good.
It was incredible.
Really good.
Incredible. But it was a good day to be a natural born griller. You know, Scott Guy cooks on
Yeah,
Hometown. There you go. There's another one.
There's another
that's
one.
true.
So
That's right. Wow. I didn't think about it that. Well, I would say, who would you say is the most successful out of a lot of those groups? But I think everybody off of that
all of them.
they're all
As-
pretty strong.
pretty
Yeah,
dang strong.
Yeah, they're all pretty strong. So they listened well.
So tell us a little bit about the rib y'all cooked at Memphis. So John Dalton, you cooked that rib?
I tried my best.
You
Did
tried your
decent.
best. It looks like you done more than your best.
Well, we had a blast.
I'll get you to the point where he came. He wasn't there when we trimmed him. We started with the Prairie Fresh Prime Rib. Fantastic product. I don't know if I'm supposed to push anybody or not.
No, I mean, I'm a Prairie Fresh Prime guy myself.
It's just different, But anyway, I bought 30 slabs. We culled down to 20. We trimmed them. We got just what we wanted. We picked out our preliminaries. We picked out I've got our best ones for blind, of course, second best for preliminary, and our worst ones for finals. But that's what you do. And we got them seasoned with $1 Million Rub on them, some mustard. Started off with a little prepared mustard, some $1 Million Rub, and put them in different bags. And he showed up the next morning with Shane McBride, who's the founder of the team, and I guess they got there at 3:30 or so, 3:30 a.m.
Got there about 3:15, 3:30. We had electrical problems the whole morning. Grill wouldn't fire up.
There was it wouldn't fire because there was no power because of the daggum storm. It was a storm.
Our
that
whole
came
spot
through.
was just flooded. It was bad. So we
Full of
started
water.
stacking the electrical cords on little wooden blocks to get them all out of the water.
on
And
the squags from Old Hickory, and we found another use for those.
yep. And then we pulled them back out. We kind of lightly dusted them, fired up the grill. Rest is history. We just kind of went with it.
You can tell them about the secret
Oh,
stuff.
I got a little smoky black pepper. We sprinkled those across it. That's the secret touch right there.
I mean, John's always used some different stuff. That smoky black pepper, you've used that before.
I have.
know.
I hadn't used it in a while though. We came back to it.
Now, y'all went totally back old school, right?
Old
Back in
school.
old school ways, kind of like what I went back to last year
Yeah,
and
just
all that.
the heck with it. If it happens, it happens. But we know it's good. It's done it before.
So that was straight hickory wood too, right? And the charcoal, of course.
Yeah. Well, I did hickory at first, and then I came back with a little cherry at the end.
You weren't supposed to tell him that, John. Though.
It's okay.
Can't give away every secret.
He'll be
right?
chopping the cherry tree down now.
No. I mean, we're cooking on. I say that. I mean, I cook on an old hickory too. Some it just
Yeah.
depends. I was on an outlaw down there
Were you?
this weekend. Yeah, I was. I did buy a double wide today. I text Alex.
I may have heard that.
You know, we were back and forth. I said, "You got any double wides?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, okay, send me one. I need one."
That's the best thing in the world to cook a hog on. By the way, they're just incredible.
I've been wanting one. You know, I bought an old hickory trailer not long ago. I don't know if you knew that on the internet. Everybody was kind of arguing over it, and I just PM'd the guy and said, "Here's the money. I ain't gonna haggle you."
Would you get an EDX or something?
No, I bought the just a trailer. Somebody yanked the EDX off.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
And it was kind of, I think you were involved in
Yeah.
that text message thread that
I
day.
remember that. Yeah, there's a trailer. Yep.
Lambert and several others. And the guy said, "I know who you are. I use your rub. And if you want it, you wire me the money." And it was done.
Well, dang, that's where it went.
It's been at my shop for a year with nothing sitting on it. So I ordered a double wide.
You got something to put on it now.
Yeah,
That's a great smoker.
it really is. So, John Dalton, do you plan to continue on and carry on with the carrying on? Because your dad's done hollered he's going to retire how many years now, and he
It's
ain't
been a
coming
while.
back to the
4 in a row
river.
now.
About 4 in a row. You think he'll keep getting sucked back in down there every year?
I mean, I plan on keeping cooking with Nick. I like cooking with their team a lot. We have a good time down there. I love cooking with the Ribdiculousness because they're all great guys. It's a blast, but I plan on keeping cooking. I like it. I love it.
Well, that's kind of my question. I wondered if you was going to keep carrying on the tradition of the torch in the Wheeler family of keeping on cooking barbecue and, keeping that rib alive. Because John David did kind of inspire me with the whole rib thing, and he kind of got quit cooking, and that's when it wasn't really anybody winning on the circuit with a rib, consistently until we come out there and really started turning it on with it.
It was like that shoulder was back in the day. That rib was winning everything.
Yeah, it was. And like you said, when we kind of set in a couple of years ago about Memphis May hadn't been won in, 20 years with a rib, you kind of heard me start talking about it. Everybody's like, how come you're not going to cook a shoulder, And it's easier to win with that shoulder of that hog down there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a lot easier.
Absolutely. What's proof's in the pudding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to have a good rib and a good salesman, and y'all happen to have both that day. I mean, you had to cook the thing right, and the moisture had to stay right, and it worked out.
Stars
good.
lined up.
So what does that rib mean to y'all, or mean to y'all, as far as getting it and being the ones that kind of broke the curse of 21 years? Tell us that story about the 21-year deal.
So I've been chasing that rib for a long time, probably, I guess, 10 and 12, I won it, and then 12, I was 1/10 of a point away from winning, and got beat by my business partner. And she brought me a bottle of Gentleman Jack that had .01 on it, because that's what I lost by. But, that was a tough one, but somebody turned the phone off.
It's $5.
Yep, $5 every time. But chased it, and then here it comes. This is my 21st year to cook Memphis in May. 21 natural born grillers, and I retired it. 21 years, and 21-year-old kid cooked it and beat a streak that's 21 years old. So 21, 21, 21.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. He turned 22, 3 days? Yeah.
3 days.
Thank goodness the contest was earlier.
Wow.
Thank God.
That is a pretty
It's remarkable. It's crazy.
that is really remarkable. So winning it with a rib, what does it mean for you now that that's happened? I mean, is it business back to normal? I'm sure that the restaurant, knowing y'all have got another world championship between y'all at the restaurant at Memphis Bar-B-Krewe, and those ribs are.
We'll sell them another rib or two. That's for sure.
I'm sure.
It's that's what I've been chasing. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's all I wanted. And don't get me wrong. I would like to be the first guy to ever win grand in all three categories, but I got 2 of them. But we'll see. I may chase that later. I'm getting a little old for this chasing.
So you
stuff.
saying you go on the shoulder now, John?
I didn't say that. Got to defend.
We're going to cook a rib next year.
Yeah, got to defend. Give one more chance. See if it was a fluke.
You sound like me. I mean, I was kind of the same way after winning rib division in 22. I mean, our ribs were not tender enough in 22 to win it. I mean, when I put my hands on them, they just wouldn't.
Well,
locked up.
Well, I thought you had it. I thought you absolutely had it.
Yeah, I was kind of heartbroken when I put my hands on the ribs that day to kind of pick them up and show the judges. And when you go to break that slab of ribs, you just know when you know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can feel it in your fingers, and it was kind of if you were watching me on my video, a lot of people don't realize it, but it was like a deep breath. I could still talk to the judges, but that rib, the way it was tearing.
Yeah, when you got in your hands. We were a hair overdone Saturday, just because the humidity came back in. It got a little warmer. We were afraid to slow them down because you know what happened the night before. You can undercook a rib really, really quick when you do that. And it was just a hair. It wasn't much, but it was a hair. But the flavor was just incredible. I mean, crazy.
I mean, that's what you're looking for with that rib. So, not only are you involved with Memphis Bar-B-Krewe, and all that and all this, you also are known for doing all these big Q Fest, right?
Yep. We started off, 15, 16, 17 years ago, going to New York to the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party. That was the pinnacle of barbecue. There's 150,000 people come out in 2 days, and we cooked ribs. We would cook 3,000 slabs of ribs in 2 days and cut them up into 2-bone servings, and there were lines as far as you could see. I mean, you couldn't see the end of the line. Sometimes they had a sign that some kid would hold up, and you'd look for the end of your line. He was like, where is it at? I mean, and it wasn't just my line. That was everybody. Big Bob Gibson's down there.
U-Bonds,
Martins. It's just a ton of great barbecue teams down there. And it's over now. We rebuilt Madison Square Park. When we first got there were bums laying on benches. There were hypodermic needles everywhere. And now, at our last one, I think Tom Brady lives overlooking the park, Chelsea Clinton, J-Lo, that
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah, he come down. He ate ribs every year. He'd come with his hat on and sneak in there. Everybody knew he was. But yeah, they just didn't want the smoke there anymore, so it's gone. But it was a beautiful contest.
We never got to go.
Oh,
I know we
We
never
talked
went.
about it.
You invited me several years to go,
I was
and,
going to say, he got invited.
Oh, I know. We talked
and
about
just with work and the way things were, and I would give anything if I had the flexibility that I have now. But
Well, we still do them. We do St. Louis. There's Denver this weekend, which I've been debating on jumping on a plane, but my daughter starts her first softball tournament this weekend. And
I
Hey,
wondered
it's
if
my
you were
birthday,
going.
too.
yeah, and they have another event called Rare on that Thursday that they wanted me to come
John
to.
They haven't been here for my birthday in like 4 years.
John Dalton's expecting a good gift this
I
year.
mean,
I think.
He's been with me, by the way, to Denver.
I've been to Denver, but it ain't always on my birthday.
But now look where you started there, Heath. This is tough. But yeah. But anyway, we went to Denver, Kansas City, Dallas. They did it. It's a fun event. We're going to do for sure St. Louis this year. So put it on your calendar.
When is that St. Louis event?
It's sometime in the fall towards the end of baseball season. It's always on a Cardinals weekend, and we go to the games. Gary Roark threw out the first pitch one year. I was supposed to throw out the first pitch, and the organizer came and says, "Hey, look, you mind if Gary does it?" I was like, "Are you going to ask me that question?" I would be mad if he didn't do it. And he got to throw it out, and it was amazing. It was just something to see.
I'm going to have to get up there. Brian, the organizer,
Robert, yep.
keeps on, hey, man, when you want to come, if you don't want to have a vending booth, just do a demo. And we've been so busy. I need to – he gives me his card every time he sees me. You still got my number? Still got my number? I'm like, I swear I'm going to call you and get involved.
Go out and have some fun, man. It's worth it. You'll love it, as you know you will.
I'm sure I will. Everything that I've kind of been involved with in barbecue, I do end up liking, and that's the problem. You have to kind of now – we get so busy in the business, you kind of pick and choose what you have to do.
Yep, I totally understand. Totally.
I mean, a lot. What I guess you hitting on the Big Apple Block Party, saying you missed it. Even including Big Apple Block Party, would it be your most favorite one out of all the ones they hold now?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, contest, but I like it better than Memphis in May. It was just the people up there, and just it was incredible. And so Ribdiculous is how I met these guys, is at the block party. Somebody called me and says, "Hey, I got a chef friend that wants to come help you work." I was like, okay. Didn't know who he was, and the guy shows up, and he's the head chef for a craft bar, one of Tom Colicchio's restaurants. And he worked a little bit, says, "Hey, we want to come by the restaurant tonight, come by." And we go in there, and you don't order when you go to a chef's restaurant. You sit there and eat, and we eat like kings. I'm like, holy cow, this guy can cook. And he's over here wanting to cut my ribs. But I realized why they all did it. Every darn one of them, they don't cook classic chef stuff anymore. They own barbecue restaurants. Now I go to New York, I have to eat barbecue. I screwed myself.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, you also are known for, Mr. Charles up there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know Mr. Charles, so that's some of the best fried chicken you claim
Absolutely.
possible,
It
right?
is the best.
So I was involved with a restaurant called Rack and Soul excuse me, years ago, and the owner finally it just didn't work where it was at, and the rent was crazy high. And he closed it down and worked on it for a while, and he brought back Charles's Southern Fried Chicken, and they're doing Natural Born Griller barbecue in there. I do ribs, butts, and barbecue chicken, and I helped him open up 3 of them. He just opened his 4th one up there, and it's the most incredible chicken. It's all pan fried, and he's from South Carolina, so he knows how to cook some good Southern fried chicken, and he is a character. Big chef's hat, jerry curls, pushing 80 years old, and he will work you into the ground. He'll stand next to you, and you'll say, "Hey, calf rope, I got to stop. Something's got to give." But incredible chicken.
So out of all the places barbecues took you over the United States, where would you say is some of the best eating cities you can eat besides barbecue?
Well, New York is absolutely number one. Number one by far. And I've been to L.A., and it was okay, but New York blows it all away. Went to Australia. Food's not that good over there. Just kind of bland. But I love going over there. It's a beautiful place, but New York takes the cake. Chicago's pretty close second.
Pretty close second. I do like Chicago
I
food.
feel like Vegas has good food.
Well, I did go out there one time. I cooked with the Shed at the World Food Championships.
Hey, I was there that year.
That's
I
right.
remember that. You dressed up in a suit, right?
I did, and blew my shoes out. Won first place brisket. Yep, won first place brisket.
Well, you shoot out. I had a rib call there. I remember that.
Yep, I remember that. Hobson overcooked my rib.
That was the first year that the Shed and Three Taxi Guys and kind of everybody was in the same hotel, and it got kind of dangerous.
It was rough. It was rough.
It was rough.
That's about all I remember.
Yeah, that was well, you know, that brings me into what's the wildest barbecue story you got? I always ask that, and you can be shy. You may not want to tell the wildest one.
Yeah, the wildest one I may get in trouble for, but I may go to jail for. Man, there's so many of them, Heath. It's just, you know, we used to wear the Friday night shirts, the Natural Born Grillers, and we'd have a blast on Friday. But one of the craziest, and this is a buddy of mine. I hate throwing names out up here, but he was there. We were down in Douglas, Georgia. It's Douglas, Georgia. Was it Douglas? Yeah. Richland, Georgia. It was Richland, Georgia. I went down there. I won the contest. Myron was there. All the big dogs were down there, all the big Georgia teams. They said, I got lucky. Come in the next year, I won it again. Third year I'm down there. He says, come here, boy. He had a fifth of Crown. He rolled the top off. He threw it away, held it in the palm of his hand, turned it up, gave it to me. And we proceeded to do that until it was gone. That's a rough day. But he missed the first judging the next morning. His wife about killed him. But, yeah, that was pretty wild there. I'm
going to guess that was Myron.
That was Myron. That was absolutely Myron.
Well, he used to love that Crown now.
Oh, I'm telling you, we held it up and drank the whole thing.
I've went drink for drink with him before, and he can go now.
Hey, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, you better be done ate something.
Yeah.
Have something on your stomach. It's kind of best that way.
Yep, absolutely.
So when you were cooking hot and heavy on the circuit, and y'all were going head to head with you know, the teams like Myron, Melissa, Lambert was come in on the tail end of that, right?
Lambert, Pig Pound the Kappa, Soggy Bottom boys, not Soggy Bottom, Soggy Creek, Georgia team, really good team. Buster was it's his last name.
Who else was some of your biggest competition then?
You know, then Red Hot came back out, and we cooked against them. Bob Gibson cooked a lot more back then. We ran against them on the circuit some. Wow. Watney Chevrolet, Rick Dalton.
Now, Rick was – how many times has Rick won that contest?
He won it one time. He won it in 05 or 07. I think he won it in 07. And we were in and I loved Rick. He's a dear friend of mine. I've told him this story. We were at what's the one out in the Agri Center?
Lakeland used to be.
Fun Fest.
So hot.
It was hot. We were at the Fun Fest, and we had a first place. He had a first place. I didn't think we had what it took, and we were at the awards, and he just kind of he ticked me off a little bit. He got through, says, I won Memphis in May. I'm going to run for the points this year. He was up on us by 12 points that day. We finished the season with 2 contests left. We didn't have to cook yet. We ran him down, beat him up pretty bad. And he's like, I should have closed my mouth, shouldn't I? But
you know,
that was a crazy story. We cooked every weekend, 14 weekends in a row, just never stopped.
I've cooked 12 in a row.
That's rough.
Is the most I've cooked, 12 in a row. No, I cooked 13 in a row one time.
Well,
It's hard.
13.
No, it's hard.
It's very hard.
And I had a little more help sometimes. Sometimes you'd have some help, sometimes you wouldn't.
That's
I remember
right.
when you didn't have she didn't have any help. She was cooking by herself.
I did. I sent her up there
That
one time.
happened before.
I went. Where did I go? I went to the Royal, and I sent her to a rib contest up there, and she won first place.
I think she got a first place, didn't
I trimmed those ribs. I went and set the cooker up before I flew out. Had everything ready to go. All she had to do was help. I think Austin helped light the pit for you, didn't he?
Yeah.
We know better than that, Candace. We know.
No, she can do it. She almost won grand that day. You wasn't very far
I
off
didn't win
of
grand. I got first place. I don't remember how far off it was, but that was back when I was cooking the ribs a lot.
Yeah. Now we don't give it a lot of time to cook anymore.
No, it's amazing. The priorities change, especially when the little ones come.
Well, not even before
Even
the
before
little
that.
one. Yeah, you just don't have a lot of time. You know, and I don't know, I'm still blown away that y'all brought the trophies in the office today, and I thought the Grand Championship trophy was honestly big, but I had no idea it was that big compared to standing up how tall it was.
It's really big when you pick it up on that stage.
Well, John Dalton said he walked from the river to the Peabody with it. Is
He
that
had
right?
it on his shoulder for the longest time. I finally got a dolly.
Maybe
made him
put it
pull
on a dolly.
Because I saw it.
You got a bruise on top of your
no,
shoulder
it's-
blade.
I
Got
saw it
cuts
hitting the
and
ground.
bruises everywhere right
Yeah,
now.
I knew he was going to drop it.
Well, So, what are your thoughts on your partner Melissa retiring this year after Memphis in May? That I didn't have any clue.
Well, Pete told me this week, earlier last week, that she was done. It was it. Just and I told him, I said I did it last year, and Pete's like, I hope we can do it next year. And she just up and decided this is it, and it was over. And I thought she was going to use it to her advantage. I'd look to see her in the final somehow or another, but she just missed it. I think she got 5th, something like that.
Was it
5th? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of, well, I mean, it's different every year, but some of the usuals that you see in finals sometimes
They all beat each other up on sites.
We're not
and
this year.
lines.
I think cutting the amount of teams down in the park, like it was cut down a little bit,
Yep.
and just refining it. I think really, I'm with Candace. I think a lot of teams beat each other
Yeah.
up, on the tables.
And then when it got there, there were some good, some decent teams. They're good teams. You got to be to get in the finals, but it wasn't the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Which I was happy to see.
That's pretty good. Well, you're right about that. So, what's the biggest or what's the best piece of barbecue advice you could give anybody out that wanting to go out and kind of pursue this career, or even, I wouldn't even say just the career of cooking competition barbecue, just having in the barbecue business in general, whether it be a restaurant or whether it be selling sauces and rubs or competition or whatever.
You got to have the passion for it. But I learned something this year that I learned for the first time in 25 years cooking barbecue. My biggest advice is cook it right. Get it to the right tip. Cook it perfect. I don't care what you put on the outside, what you put on the inside. If the meat's done right, it's going to be right. That's one thing. Now, it helps when you have good rubs and sauces, don't get me wrong, but cook it right. But I was going to tell you this before, but then you asked me to come do this. I want to tell you right now, face to face. Tell you what I did when I went down there with those chefs. I wanted to just get them on the stage. That's all I wanted to do. Top 10. That's all I wanted. Relax. I had a good time. I didn't go down there with a target on my back like we always do. You got one on your back. You know you do.
I keep one on my back.
I know. But, hey, I just said nobody knew who I was, where I was at. I sat down there. I had a great time, had the funnest time I've had in 10 years down there probably. And I relaxed. And then when it was game time, it was game time. And once we made finals, don't get me wrong, you know what happens then. It all kicked in. But I didn't stress it. Didn't stress it at all. Didn't care. Just wanted to get on the stage. And, man, it made it all worthwhile. So you need to go down there and just have fun. I know I know you too well. You're just like me. You go down there to win it. I do too. I did too for 20 years. I went down there to win it. The year I didn't go down there to win it, I won it again. So
I'm gonna have to take that advice.
it's good advice.
It's kind of hard. I mean, last year did take a lot off of me winning at least first place rib down there. It did. And I'm kind of like you. I don't have a lot of second and third place trophies.
No, you don't.
If I get in the hunt,
it's there.
It's a first, and usually I'm driving the nail in the coffin.
Closing the deal. That's right.
It's kind of, I'm not going to say known for that, but my percentage is pretty high.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it takes. That's what you got to do.
I don't know. It's
Go have fun, buddy.
You kind of got me at a loss of words because you're right. It does when you get down there. You think about, you look at everybody else, and I stood outside the booth that morning at 4 a.m. Just kind of looking at the Memphis Bridge and wondering, pit was getting lit and getting going. I done seasoned the first layer of ribs or the backs of them waiting on the sweat in, and it's a lot different down there that early in the morning.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel that, or how do you like how since they moved the rib category to being first?
You've heard me say this, but you probably don't remember it. And I've said for 20 years, I said if they'll ever swap this around and let these ribs come out first and have a chance, because after you eat those big, bulky meats, that big shoulder, that big hog, you got to judge 3 pieces of the hog, and then they're going to give you 3 more extra, and jowl and bacon and whatever else, and then the shoulder, they're just going to hammer you with the money muscle and then with the knuckle bone, all the good stuff, the knuckle meat, and then a little delicate rib, you can't do anything with it. But when they let it go out first, and they got to really taste the rib and taste the meat because they wasn't buried in all this heavy meat they got from the other ones, I said it's going to change if it ever happens, and it happened, and it changed.
I knew it was going to change. I knew somebody was.
I thought y'all come out. I thought y'all were first out last year, but y'all weren't, were you?
No, I was second.
But was rib first?
Yeah,
finals.
It was.
Okay. Well, it changed in 2 years. Then it didn't change in 1. Yeah. But we had the perfect score, but we were third out.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you have a preference of going first out
Absolutely.
And I'm the same way.
Absolutely.
I want to be the very first piece of
Yeah.
meat they taste.
Come after this. See what you can get after I get through with you. Yep.
I agree. Same. That or either dead last.
Dead last is also great.
I mean, either one.
Yep. I'll take dead last too. So don't want to get stuck in the middle.
Wow. Man, you got me so flustered thinking about it.
Well, I have a question. You're talking about the park. What did you think this year? I mean, I know it was different, less teams. What were your thoughts?
Two thoughts. One, as an alderman of a city, they made the right decision to do what they did, because that park can be used 12 months out of the year now. It can bring tourism in, bring a lot of revenue. That park's going to make Memphis a lot of money if they can keep the crime and everything out of it. Now, as a barbecue standpoint, it didn't get any bigger, but it's more steps, because them winding paths, you just had to keep. I was like, holy cow, it was crazy. It seemed like you walked twice as long.
People
Yeah.
were lost.
Yeah, it was crazy, hard to find things, but it's beautiful. But yeah, it sucks a little bit, but I think it'll be okay especially once the grass grows in next year, and it's, we're not jumping on top of fresh dirt they just put in there. I mean,
A month ago.
what'd you expect's going to happen?
Yeah.
So
I agree. So do you see it staying on the river?
I do. It went, considering it went pretty good this year. I mean, I know some people were mad, but we rolled right in, rolled right out. Of course, we were on Riverside Drive, but our load in and out was easy.
Now, did you like being on the backside on that pavement there?
Well, I didn't think I would, but I did. Yeah, I did. Don't get me wrong, I like to be out in the middle. You know how it is. You get in the middle with all these people, you're going to spend 3/4 of your day talking to people. And you don't want to be like that. I love talking to my friends down there. I love the camaraderie and all that, but there's times I want to just sit there and
Take a breath.
relax. Yeah, try to let it all sink in. But it was hot over there now. That asphalt got hot, but it was a nice little place to be tucked away, and nobody knew you were there.
So the one thing we have not talked about is I'm sitting there looking at your shirt sleeve, Old Hickory Pits.
Man,
So that's what you cook on. How many years have you been cooking on an Old Hickory Pit?
I've had one for 22 years. I had one for 22 years, and I've cooked the first mailbox. I cooked before. I cooked it in 5 and 6 on a mailbox, but then we won the rib in 10 and 12 on a mailbox, and we brought her back out. And I tell you what was cool this year. It actually happened last year. So, by the way, there's going to be a new mailbox. This one had just got retired. Old Hickory gave me another pit to make a mailbox out of, another JW. But last year I had my Natural Born Grillers judges sign the outside of my pit, the mailbox, which I wish we had a picture. And then this year I had Ribdiculous judges, the own sites, sign the mailbox, and then the finals. So we're going to clear coat it, and it's going to be putting the mothballs. But it's pretty cool. It was
Good idea.
they're going to be signing your pit next year, aren't they?
That's pretty cool. Now, that is a pretty cool idea. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has different traditions and stuff.
Yeah. So,
A lot.
so I actually did it back in 10 or 12. I couldn't remember which year it was. And, Nick was just a kid back then, and he was too young to even do the work. We got the pit home. I was working. I came home, and Nick's out there washing the mailbox. And he washed. Dave Brown was on there. He was one of my on-site judges, or finals judges. Washed it right off.
Oh,
All of it's gone.
Wow.
But at least he washed the pit.
At least he washed the pit. Well, Candace, do you have any questions?
I don't feel like we asked. I know you and I talked about, unless I missed it, who is your mentor in barbecue? Is there somebody you look up to or have looked up to? Or
Well, Pat Burke's always everybody's. I mean,
true.
it's what it is, because he's going to take the time to spend time with you. But
Yes.
my other that you guys don't really know is George Holder. George Holder with Pyro Pig Maniacs was the last team to win a rib.
2002.
I was 3 doors down from him. I go out there. We go down to the clap for him, because I cooked against him, and I'd beat him some on the circuit, and he taught me a lot of things. And great guy, by the way. Wore coaching shorts all the time. Damnedest thing I ever seen, got beat by a guy in coaching shorts. But anyway, those real tight ones, come up to about the mid thigh. So presentation's over. Judges go off. They stand there, don't move. Judges are gone. He says, "Hey, big boy, hold on 1 second." He comes over, brings me a rib. Now I saw him at the table, cut those ribs with a knife and give them to the judges, cutting them with a knife. I was like, wow. Then he brought it to me. The membrane's still on the back. It's like, isn't this something? This will never win. Of course, it did win, and I tell you, why it won, I took a bite of it. Holy cow. I mean, just like fireworks went off. I was like, this is it. This is how. But he left the membrane on and cut it with a knife. And cooked on an old water heater, by the way. But he won the world championship twice.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
And where is he from?
He's from around Memphis. He's still around. He's old, but he retired after 2002. He'd won it twice. I think he won it in 2000 also, either 99 or 2000 and 2002.
Have you talked to him since winning it?
I hadn't talked to him. I got to look him up. I don't have his, phones weren't real popular. They didn't save numbers like they do today.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, I'm still blown away about the Rib winning it, and I'm just glad you were the one to do it.
It's great, and I want to go back into Old Hickory a little more. I can't thank those guys enough. They believed in me way back when. When I performed Alex's wedding, I married Alex Stein, who's now the CEO. He and his wife out in Denver. I had to get my little certificate to be able to marry people, be a minister. Now I've done like 5 weddings. I'm like, wait a minute, I only signed up for one. But they're great people. The family that. You ever needed to pit and call them?
I got 2 in my shop right now, and you heard me say a while ago I bought a double wide over a text message earlier. It was just that simple.
But if you need to borrow one, they'll get you one.
Oh yeah.
They're just great folks.
Come get what you want. I've been by there on the way to a contest, and you were like, "Come on, let's swap that old pit out for another one."
Yeah.
And they slide me another new pit in a trailer. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Alex and him and Mr. David Knight's one of the pioneers of this industry.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best.
They don't get any better. I mean, when I first went up there to Old Hickory and picked up some stuff and several years went down the road, but I went back to get something or had got a pit for somebody, went and bought one, picked it up. I don't remember what it was. But he carried me over to the casino for lunch, showed me he was involved in the casino and showed me the pits and all this, and they're calling him by name, and he's introducing me to all these people over there, and he just treats people like, honestly, like royalty. Everybody.
Doesn't matter who you are. He's going to treat you great.
I mean, tip top.
I missed him this year down there. He came by Thursday early, I guess it was, and I just hadn't got there yet. You know how it is, trying to get everything, the last minute stuff loaded in. But I'll see him. He called me Sunday morning.
I bet he did.
Yeah. He called me a little too early on Sunday morning too.
Well, he was probably in the bed when you won it.
Yeah, he probably was.
He probably was. Well, so, John Dalton, when are you going to take the plunge to do barbecue full time?
Whenever I get a little more money. I got too many bills to try to jump off on that right now.
Well, I mean, so you and Nick and them are going to hit the circuit hard next year?
We're going to cook a couple more contests later this year and see how we do. We got to get our team back reconfigured and figure out what we want to do.
They're one of those stuck in the middle of, do we want to party or do we want to win?
Well,
I've been there.
Been there and done that, have we?
I think we've all been there. It's hard not to have a good time when you pull up and like going, especially some of these Delta contests down in the Delta, and the atmosphere is so good down there. The weather's good in the fall.
Get caught up in it.
And it's so easy to get sucked into it.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take this one shot. Let's go over here to this bar real quick. Oh, they down here giving beers away.
Yeah.
Oh, it don't take very long at all.
That one shot turns into a lot too fast.
Yeah. But I'm going to work on trying to get Nick some sponsorships, if you know what I mean. Trying to make him cook a little bit more next year.
I got him. We chose Nick as one of our gold teams this year, helping out with product and whatnot. And, Nick has got a bright future in this industry, in my opinion.
He does. He does.
I can't wait to see what the next 10 years looks like for him and John Dalton. Because this generation, being raised in barbecue like they were, and John Dalton's just now fixing to be 22 years old. He'll be in his prime at 30 years old.
Oh, I know.
10 years.
We were beat down by then.
We were. They ought to be blowing them contests out of the water by then.
I hope so.
Because right now, Nick and them has won Team of the Year, once or twice?
Once. Yes.
I think their first year.
But they've got more grands. They won more grands than anybody, if I'm correct, throughout the year, right?
Yeah, that one year.
Anybody else.
Bunch of kids.
Yeah, and there's not really a dominant force anymore. We kind of retired off the circuit, and one year we went 12 for 13 contests I cooked, and one year we went, 10 out of 15 or something, 11 out of 14. Yeah. We had some good years back to back. But now there's really not a dominant force, and I want to see somebody else come in there and really just start hammering down.
And do it.
And I think that, I honestly think if Nick and them can just regroup a little, and y'all, And the drinking's the biggest thing. I mean, I get it. It's easy.
We're
it's
young.
Easy. I don't blame you. Get it out of your system now. You got time. I mean, am I not right?
You're right. Absolutely.
But you turn into something real good before it's over with. You don't never know where you wind up.
That's true.
Maybe you'd have a barbecue and chicken joint in Nashville. I mean, in
New York.
New York before it's over. I mean, well, John Dalton, where can everybody find y'all at on social media and all that? Y'all want to be reached out to or any of that?
I'm just on the Facebook.
Just on the old book face.
He has an Instagram.
I have an Instagram, but I don't know how to use it that well. It's john.david.wheeler, I think.
Yeah, it's it.
Yeah.
John Dalton, what about you?
I have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. I got all of them basically. That's
I had the Twitter, but I just got off the Twitter. I didn't know how to tweet.
You didn't know how to tweet.
I didn't know how to do it.
I don't know how
So-
either. I don't blame you.
just wait till he puts his little glasses on and tries to figure out how to do something on his phone. It's
Yeah.
fun to
What
watch.
about TikTok? You get on TikTok?
I did that for a minute because my youngest daughter was on it, just to kind of watch,
Yeah.
make sure she wasn't doing anything stupid. And I was like, I got her off of that thing. That's the damnedest thing.
It
It
is.
was,
It's
it was like,
a lot.
holy cow, I thought I was watching porn on that damn thing. It was crazy.
Well,
can't
what was
believe
you
they-
looking up? You know, it goes by whatever you're looking up.
Well,
your
then
interest.
maybe I was.
That's the way that search engine works. If you
It
didn't know
starts all
that.
these dances and yeah, it's crazy. But
Well, look, I just appreciate y'all coming on the show, and I just really want to tell y'all congratulations again, because what y'all done is a hell of an achievement, and it couldn't have happened to better people, in my opinion. And congratulations again.
and thank you, I appreciate it. And I wanted to
Thank you,
say
brother.
one thing,
Thank you.
just to get you thinking again. I may or may not have used something that had HR on it this weekend.
May or may not have.
May or may not have, but I appreciate it.
Anytime. I'm glad. Glad I could help. And well, look, guys, if y'all like having people on the show like we're doing, interviewing people, be sure to subscribe and follow along. We'll catch y'all next week with another episode of Shootin' the Q.
Thank you for tuning in to the Shootin' the Q podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels or through our website. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Leave us a review if you enjoyed the show. Until next time, keep shooting the Q.